Welcome back, guys. Today we're just gonna do some test hands of the Mimighoul deck. We're gonna go through two versions, probably like 3 hands of each. So first we have the Fiendsmith version, which I think is the best for playing around Nib because you can make Caesar. And then we're gonna have the Kashtira engine version. This one has the added benefit of being able to play Shifter, which turns off a lot of the hand traps like Veiler, Droll, and Mourner. I guess Ogre too. But yeah, let's get into it. We're going to start with the Fiendsmith engine. Alright, so pretty good hand. Every time you see the field spell, it's pretty good. So we'll start with the field spell, use the effect to search. We already have Dragon. Nothing really pairs a dragon too well. What we can do is grab a monster to just put on their side of the field to chump block for the Imperm. So let's just grab the best one. Use the effects, push them into their field. We're gonna normal summon, use the effect. And here, if we get Veilered or Ashed, we have the thrust to keep playing. Yeah, we're gonna use Dragon Effect. Grab the Maker, if I can find it. Maker Effect. We're always revealing the Archfiend here. And then normally it would also be Slime, but we have Slime on the opponent's field already. So if I was playing Cerberus, this is where I would also reveal Cerberus. But I'm not, so we're just going to reveal another Slime. Because we don't want to reveal the armor or the fairy, whatever she is. Just in case it, we need it for extension plays later. Yep, so we get unlucky here. So we're going to summon out. And we're just going to flip this so it's easier to tell. And then we are going to have 2 lines here. We could either just go straight for Fiendsmith stuff, or we could... what can we do? We go Throne, grab Master, Master Effect, grab something irrelevant. Or we could just grab Giant and grab a trap card. We do have really good follow-up here, since they can't normal summon, and if they special summon, we can just use the Maker Engrave effect to flip over their cards. So what I think is actually best is to go through the Fiendsmith combo. Go Moon. Skip a few steps here. Summon the Requiem over Moon. Requiem effect. Bring out the Engraver. Use the effect of Requiem to equip, that way we can contact fuse. For the Neck-equip Princess. We're going to use the effect of the Engraver, putting back the Closed Heavens. And if we go sequence here, we don't have enough Light Fiends to actually resolve for the big fusion, so we're going to overlay. And then depending on what you want to end on, you can end on Caesar here. If you don't want to go through too much, you can play around Nib the best possible. But if we want to go for the Desiree, we have to go for M7. Use the M7 effect, detaching as cost, the Engraver, and then being able to grab back the Graver to hand. Eventually. We're using Engraver effect, grab the Tract for Lurie. Add Lurry, discard Lurry, Lurry effect engraved to special. Now we have enough Flight Fiends to go for sequence. So we're going to put all of them back. We're going to link these off for the new Link 3 for Fiendsmith. And just use the effect targeting the, I don't know what this guy's been called, Desiree. Engrave to summon it back and attach it as a material. And then use the effect to sequence. So this is a 5,800 non-targeted monster in your field that has the possibility to negate 5 things in your opponent's field, but more likely it's going to be 1 or 2. And we have a nib for follow-up to interrupt. So not too bad. If we'd gotten lucky off of the maker, obviously we could have ended on the Mimighoul board alongside it. So let's do the next hand. Okay. Not too good, not too bad. Again, we're going to try to play around the hand trap as best as possible. Summon this to the opponent's field. That's basically going to be the same combo. Except we don't have the field spell to start, so we're going to grab the field spell. Field spell, search. This time we're going to grab armor, because we need an extender. Armor effect in hand, since our opponent controls a monster, we can summon an entire field. And we're probably just going to go... We already have the trap, so in this case, I'm actually going to go for the giant line to grab the maker. Maybe this time we'll be luckier. If we didn't want to play around the Imperm, we could have just kept Archfiend in hand, and then we would have had a guaranteed Archfiend to flip over whatever we hit off a maker. But we're trying to play a little bit more safe in these lines. So again, we're going to go Slime and the Archfiend. Again, not very lucky. But at least this time we opened the trap, so it's not too terrible. So we're, once again, just going to go through the entire Fiendsmith combo. This combo is just a lot of clicking. So we're just going to skip over a bit. Affecting Graveyard to attach, contact. I think here, since we actually have the trap, it actually is proper to go for the Desiree combo instead of just ending on Caesar. So we'll do the same thing. Use the effect Engrave to summon out. I'm just going to skip the step here. Overlay, detach the engraver, add engraver in hand, engraver effect. For the tracked effect to grab the Lurry. And Lurry effect. And we actually already saw how this whole engine works on the first combo, so imagine there's a Desiree right there and a set room. We also have the Veiler and the Nib again. And once again, they either have to flip these. Sadly, we don't have a maker on their field this time, so it's not as good. And they're going to have a free body, because you can only activate one arching effect per turn, and only once that turn. So only one of these will trigger for the opponent. It's not too bad, because we have the room this time. So we'll do one more test hand of this. Maybe one more. Want to get at least a one where we can get the full combo going. Alrighty. So this time makers are only Mimighoul Engine, but we opened Tract. So I'm actually going to start with the Tract. This does play into the Droll quite often, but I'm not going to be too worried about Droll when it's game 1. Usually much more of a sided card, but we'll see with the new, what is it? The new engine that Snake Eyes is getting. I know it does a lot of adding, so Droll may be a main deck card for a lot of decks in the format, in which case you'd want to start with the Maker. Ready? Effect, bring out the Engraver. Effect to attach engrave. Contact out for the princess. And we're going to use the effect to put back the link 1. Summon out. And in this case, there's no possible way for us to get to the Desiree combo. Even if we go into M7, we're still going to be a body short. And we already used the Tract, so adding back to hand does not do anything. So here we're just going to play for the Caesar. We're going to go Maker. And we're just going to grab the Dragon and the Archfiend. Nice, we got the Dragon. So not the Dragon effect. Grabbing the field spell, because we need an extender. Field spell once again. Opponent has a card in their field, so we're not going to burn the Archfiend effect. We're going to overlay. And we have the two XYZs. Which one's better here? Giant obviously just gives you the room. But can we get to Giant and both? And Throne if we go Throne first? Let's think about it. We summon Throne. Throne effect, summon out the Master. Master effect will only grab us one extender. And that's not enough. So would we rather have a... Would we rather have a Book of Moon and follow up, or would we rather have a Seal's Bounce? Obviously next to our Caesar. Honestly, I think it is the Seal's Bounce line, because it also gives us the opportunity to grab a slime from deck. Detach the one of, in case we don't have to use the effect. That way we have Armor Engraved to add back off a dungeon if that's what we wanted to do. So we're going to grab this. Always trying to play around the anima columns. Use the effect. And we're going to grab the slime, like I said. We're going to use the slime effect, give us to the opponent. And then we're going to lose to a normal summoned witch, because they're psycho. Nah, Diabellstar Witch is actually this deck's worst enemy. Just because it can send the set cards in your opponent's field. But we're going to do one more test hand. I do like this version of the deck. So this is an interesting one. We have the Dungeon plus Slime / Archfiend combo we can do, but we also have Dragon on field. In our hand. But I still think the safest line... Obviously, we're going to start this. If they ash this, then you're just going to go for your Dragon line. But the Archfiend and Slime combo is actually safer against Nib. And it'll guarantee that we actually get our Slime effect to resolve. So we're going to Slime, give it to opponent, normal summon the Archfiend. If we get Veilered here, which is the only thing that can happen, we just activate the Thrust to grab the Mimic. But we're gonna flip the slime. Slime's gonna trigger. If they ash this, then it's the same thing. Just activate thrust. It just removes any possibility we're gonna be able to use the slime effect later in the turn. So we're gonna use this. We're gonna grab the dragon this time. Slide this back over to us. Our opponent's probably gonna put it in the anima zone if they're thinking ahead. So we're gonna use this, grab the maker. And then, unlike with my original video, I actually think it's more correct, since you have all these extra bodies on this line, to just go Fiendsmith. Right here. That way we can get some nib protection, because if you haven't been stopped at this point, that is the only real non-engine I'd be worrying about. Cannot find anything. In fact, use a Requiem to attach Engrave. Then we're gonna contact fuse them both off for the princess. Then we're gonna use the engraver, which is engraved right now, to put back the moon, because it's the most generic. And we could possibly make it again later if we so choose. So if you're gonna get nib, you're gonna get nib there. But then you still have the maker plus thrust. And you're gonna be playing through pretty nicely. So now that we have nib protection, we're gonna use the maker. And then maker, it doesn't really matter. I still say that you don't wanna use either of these in your maker. I'm gonna pick slime because if it gives it to the opponent, that's gonna be really great for us later. And what's the worst draw we can get out of the leftover options? You'd rather draw dragon, but we already have dragon in hand, so I'm gonna pick Archfiend. So not lucky. We already used the slime effect, special summon to our opponent's field this turn, so we're just going to use that instead of summoning the dragon, because if we so choose, we can still summon the dragon to the opponent's field. But I don't know if it's going to be necessary. And here, since your opponent already used the slime, and now we gave them another monster, we can thrust for a... I'm gonna go for talents here. The hand knowledge is always great. So here I would use the effect to look at hand, especially if they haven't used anything. It's probably a lot of non-engine, or like board breaker non-engine, or they just have 5 engine cards in hand. So it's good to get that knowledge. If they only have the 1 starter and a bunch of board breakers, I'd just get rid of the starter. Or if they have something crazy like a dark hole, take the dark hole away, because we didn't go for the Desiree. So look at hand, get rid of anything that would be a problem. Overlay. And then you have 2 options because you don't have another extender in hand. You could have got an extender off of the thrust by grabbing Tract and Tract for Lurie to give you another level 1. So actually, I will show that because it does make the full board. And maybe you don't care what's in your opponent's hand because they haven't stopped you yet. And they can't nib imperm you. They can still nib Veiler you. But I'll show this off. Still just gonna hold it for a little while. So in this situation, you probably would not have activated thrust yet. You would have just done this, clicking it twice first, because they wouldn't know about the thrust yet. And then you could just grab whatever you needed to keep going. I use this effect. We're gonna grab the armor here. And then now we're gonna Tract effect. the Lurry, special summoning the Lurry. And then armor effect special. Taking the giant. Giant effect will trigger on the summon to grab the Mimighoul Room. So now we're looking, we have an Impulse for 1, non-targeting. We have 2 special summon negates, and they can't normal summon yet, and we have a Book of Moon. That will fully lock them out of normal summoning if we summon to their field, and you most likely will. Now, the only problem is what you special summon to your opponent's field. If you special summon a slime, they probably already flipped up the Archfiend, and you're only going to have 2 open slots after you use the Throne effect. So if you put the slime over there and try to flip it yourself, they're going to be able to keep the slime body because you're going to special summon from your deck, and then all your zones are filled up. Which it wouldn't be as much of a problem if we hadn't used our resources to go to Caesar, because then we could have used 2 to make a link to, like IP. I think, yeah, IP is the only thing I put in here for this list, because the Fiendsmith does take up a lot of your engine. I mean, your extract slot. Yeah, so let's go over to the Kashtira build. Set as default so it doesn't mess me up. Draw our hand. Oof. So this is not a good one. What can we do? The nice thing about the Kashtira build is without the Fiendsmith, you're not taking up 6 to 7 slots in your extra deck. So we can actually play the Prime. And G-Golem Link 2 is actually not too bad. It's basically an M7 for Earth. But better, because it's just a generic link. Well, an Earth generic link too. So what can we do here? Our only play to get to Engine is normal summon Master, but what does Master get us? Because we have a slime that can't use its special summon effect. So what is the play? I guess we can find out together. I'm not going to play around anything because I don't know exactly what I want to do with this hand yet. Slime's only real not slime, Fairy's only real extender here. But what is our link? Where do we begin with that? We can go for G-Golem. G-Golem, get to a link 3 we don't play. There's no way to get to an XYZ in this case because we already used our normal summon, and we can only get one level 1 extender. So honestly, I think the only play here is just grabbing the Fairy effect specialing, and then just sit on IP. It's just hard because if you summon the slime to their field, they have no reason to flip it ever, because you don't have the field spell to prevent them from normal summoning while it's set, and you don't have. So actually, because this won't do anything, the correct play is probably just to grab the good follow-up by grabbing Dragon and just sitting on Slime in your opponent's field and Master on your field. I did not want to target that, thank you very much. And you have 3 non-engine, so hopefully that's enough. to get you back to your turn, and you can just drag and combo from there. That is the sad thing about not playing the Fiendsmith engine. Oh, good golly. It's that the cache engine can't be accessed by your own engine. So it's pretty much just the luck of the draw if you see it or not. But here, same combo with the Archfiend plus Slime. Or a special Slime to their field. Just gonna skip some steps because Dealing Book's a lot harder to get through all this. It's a lot of clicking. In fact, we're gonna grab the Maker. And unlike last time, we cannot go for a nib-proof line because we don't have what we need. So what do we think is the best play here? Let's see, we're on summon 3 here. So we can go summon 4. Giant doesn't do anything. What I want to get to is just get SP Little Knight on the field. The only problem with that is just to play around Nib. A little more, the only problem with that is that your end board wants to have a throne on field with material for your opponent's turn. So if you go for SP to play around a Nib, you're never going to get this effect. Because it asks, if I banish it with the SP to play around, it'll come back with no material and the effect will be useless. It'll just give it 1,000 attack and no bounces. So we're just going to get our guaranteed search here. Put this in attack actually, because it's going to be 33 when it gets over to your opponent's turn. Grabbing the room. And then on card. Go for Maker effect. We already used all our relevant effects. But we would prefer to get the Slime on the opponent's field, so we're gonna pick Slime and the Arching. I'm just not winning the 50s on this today. So here we're just going to go for the Throne. Going to play outside of the Animal column. Use the effect, detach, and get to the Master. Use the Master effect to grab a armor. Sorry if you can hear that dog barking. And then we have the choice of either stopping here and just holding in case they nib us, because this is still a Seals Bounce plus Book of Moon and 2 non-engine, and a draw 1, which no matter what we do, our deck isn't going to get searched through again, so we can just see what it would have been. Alright, would have been just another Ash. Get that back out of there. But I'm very greedy, and I think it is better to just go for the IP play. Just because it plays through so much more. And honestly, now that we can attack directly, I think this access code should just be the Nightmare Griffin. Because we could G-Golem, bring out, get to a link 3. Nah, we're still missing a body. Something to think about. Let's get to the next test stand. Alright, nice. This God damn. No, this hand's nasty. Alright, so we're going to start with the cash engine, because if you start with anything else, it'll turn off anything you can do with cash. Hope and pray that you don't get drilled here, I suppose. We're going to summon this, use the effect, see if we can bait some ashes out of them. Where is my birth? It's blocking it with the menu. And then we can... It's always going to be field spell. And then field spell effect. But what are we doing with it? So actually we have two options. We could actually go dungeon first, grab the Archfiend to make sure that we have an Archfiend we can special summon from the hand off of Maker. And then we can be greedy and go Dragon plus Slime. Or we could just do Dragon plus Archfiend off of Maker before we go field spell, and then... That doesn't make any sense. Why would we do that? Yeah, so we're just gonna go with the original line. We'll grab an Archfiend. Use the effect, because this is gonna for sure turn on our talents now. Dragon Slime. We haven't used our normal summon, so it doesn't truly matter. So I'm actually going to go for the Archfiend, because we can get Dragon off of this. And then if we need the extender, we can pitch Dragon. We're going to flip, they're going to activate the effect, because they have to. And we're going to get our Dragon. Move that on over. Dragon effect. We already went through the other two spells and traps, so the only thing left to do is grab the room. And luckily for us, our opponent used a monster effect in Slime on our fourth summon, so we're going to Talents, look at their hand, and take that Nibiru away. And now we're just going to be nice with it. Going for the throne here. Actually, we're going to pretend that we had used the other one, because we want to be able to summon our master in a non-anima zone. So we're going to detach for the... And we're actually detaching whatever is not slime, because if they have a Called by the Grave, I would prefer to not have slime in case I flip it first. Get that back where it's supposed to be. Bring out Master effect. We are going to grab the extender. Opponent doesn't have any monsters on the field, so it is Elise Fairy. And from here we can make the... We can get it all, actually. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to Fairy effect, summon to our field. If you're really worried about the them holding Imperm at this point, you can Dragon effect, put it over there. But at this point, if they did not Imperm the Dragon when they didn't have any monsters on field, I really doubt they have it. Overlay these to get to our boy. And we actually have everything already. So if you have the read, maybe you lost the die roll but still got chosen to go first, and you have the read that it is Tempai, maybe you just want to go for Nightingale, that way you have the no damage effect and you're making it back to your turn with the dragon in hand. and they don't put up much of anything for interruption other than seal. So that might be a play you want to go for instead of burning your XYZ summon. But I think it is good to get the extra follow-up on here, because I want to be able to grab slime to summon to their field. That way my room can be used more defensively. Maybe they out my master somehow, and I can just use this to summon master out again. Because I play 2. This doesn't summon from grave, I don't think. Especially when we go from hand or deck. Yeah. So that's why 2 is actually kind of good. Because if this gets outed on your opponent's turn, then you don't have any real way of getting back to it. And then we can use these to just go for the IP. And then birth, bring back. And you have room. Didn't even need the 1-for-1. You have the additional dragon here. And if we look through the deck, none of our ones that we could get from 1-for-1 really do anything because we already had access to dragon and archfiend. So let's go for the next. Okay, this is a very good hand. Once again, the 1-for-1 is not going to do too much for us because we have access to the field spell plus archfiend / slime. I was too busy thinking about slime, about grabbed it. Effect, grab the slime to hand. And even better now, if they do hit us with a imperm, not an imperm, a Veiler, we have the 1-for-1 to keep extending. Or I suppose the Ash. Use the effect, flip that up. They so generously use the effect. Get that back, use the effect. Sadly, we do not have a way to get a monster into their field to make this thrust live to grab us the talents before the 5th summon. So let's think about if there's any way for us to play around it. I do not think so. I mean, I guess there's a little way to play around it. Let's do it. This at least guarantees we're gonna end on an SP. I've never done this before, so if it takes away too many resources, I suppose we'll learn together that it's not a good play. We already used all these effects. You want to try to get slime over there? Oh, and we actually hit it for once. Good golly. The only thing that this is doing right now for us is puts us in a predicament of we can only get to one of the XYZs unless we want to 1-for-1 pitch our interruption bash. But I do not think that's worth doing. So, or I guess what we can do is disrespect the Nibiru altogether and just use the thrust to set the room. Something to think about. We're just gonna go for the disrespectful. play that if they don't nib us, we're getting great follow-up still. Especially since we hit the slime. Let's grab a... Probably just Dragon. We want to guarantee if they can out the field spell that we can get to follow up. And yeah, we're just gonna hope they don't have the nib. Setting thrust. Not thrust, setting rune. The only real aggressive play is for the talents to look at hand. Which I guess, if you think about it. Follow up SP against 5 cards and hand knowledge. We already have follow up and slime, so actually yeah, I do think the hand knowledge is actually better. So we are in fact going to just ignore the trap for this turn, and we're gonna look at the hand and take out whatever they have. Maybe it's an awkward hand, and do a little more. But yeah, I think we're gonna end it there. I guess we can talk a little bit more about the decks, what the pros and cons of each are. So the nice thing about the Kashtira engine over playing Fiendsmith, I guess it's not so much due to choose Fiendsmith or Kashtira, it's more that Shifter does not play well with Fiendsmith cards. So I would rather not play a hand trap that can turn off my hand if all I drew was the Fiendsmith portion. But this is a really good hand trap against all the meta decks right now. Ubel doesn't really put up a real board under this. Snake Eyes can't even play. Tenpai, you're going first, so you're not going to drop this. Well, I guess you will drop this if you won the die roll and don't know that they're on Tenpai yet. But 2 out of the 3 best decks in the format is not too bad to be able to shut off. Nice thing is, I think from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 more extra deck slots without the Fiendsmith package. That engine takes up so much space, so this is actually way more utility. Mainly the number 13 and 31. I still think they're worth playing. It's just things had to be cut for the Fiendsmith portion. But there's some times where this just goes crazy, especially if you weren't able to get to the slime effect. But you can have 2 level 1s on field, and you can add slime, special slime to their field, and go for this, and then flip it, and whatever else you... it's probably an Archfiend, because you had to have lost the 50-50 on the maker to be in a weird situation like that. So you're going to get draw 1. Special summon, have 2 more level 1s, and still be able to full combo, because with 2 of the level 1s, you can go for the throne, add the... or special the master, add an extender, which will give you 2 level 1s to go for the giant, and then giant plus the crime you have left over can go for an IP. The only sad thing about this engine is, A, you have a really hard brick and birth if you don't see it with anything else, and you have to hard find these. You have a 5-card engine if you're including the terraforming to get to this. There's not just a extra deck play to get to these like there is with Fiendsmith. But this is actually a way cheaper version of the deck, so that is also something I should mention. I think right now dungeons are 15s to 20s, so this is only like 60. Thrusts are expensive, so maybe you don't play as many thrusts, or you only play talents. not too big of a deal. But let's say you're playing this exact version. You got 60 here, 90, 120. Don't look at the side deck. And we have no idea what these are going to cost. SPs, 40 bucks. Or I think it went up to 50 actually. So we're looking at like 160 for this whole core, which can be made a lot cheaper by not playing. It can be made $60 cheaper by not playing the thrust. And Little Knight's not necessary. You can just go into Unicorn, or you can play Underworld Goddess in this slot too, because you do spit out a lot of bodies for the IP. So yeah, we can get to like 60 bucks just having this be the only expensive card in the deck now. Whereas if we look at the Fiendsmith engine, obviously this is good because of the link to wherever she is, Moon, letting you bridge with the extra bodies you have, because it is kind of just, this guy is not good to have on your end board. Like, he's just a 3300 body. If the burn and pop effect was actually a quick effect, it'd be a good end board piece. It's a great card. Like, I don't know why I'm even complaining about it. It's a search and a burn in time. Like, I guess I can't complain. Some nice things about this: you can do the anti-Nibiru line when you open a hand good enough, which the Slime Archfiend field spell, whatever 2 versions of that, can always get to. If you have enough bodies to just be able to do it. And you could also just end on a giant hot red. Just be able to negate everything. But you also have the added something else that's nice we saw in one of the duels is that if you don't start with the engraver in hand, this Lurry and Tract can actually end up being a level 1 extender. So that's really nice. So it does have a lot of pluses, but the biggest drawback is the fact that this engine is 100, 200, 300. I guess none of this is expensive. This, the Link 3 probably might be expensive. But yeah, this engine's around 300, so it's about double the price of the entire other deck core. And if you include, that's if you're including the SPs and everything. Yeah, the cash engine is way cheaper. Obviously, I guess this is exactly the same price as the cash engine, and then just hack on $300. So yeah, if it's not in your price range, it's not necessary. But for the most competitive version of the deck, I do think that the Fiendsmith is that. Yeah. Thanks for watching. This is, oh god, this is a long ass video. If you liked it, leave a like, comment, I don't know. Have a good night.